And welcome into Growth Profits. It is high noon in Nashville, Tennessee, and we are so excited to be with you. Today we're going to talk about how to double your bottom line. We'll be right back. Hi folks, I'm Sean Crabtree.
And I'm Cameron Bailey.
We don't want to change the way you do business.
We want to change the way you're thinking about your business.
We want you to have better results, happier clients, and make more money.
Let's get it started.
And welcome back to Growth Profits. You have us both, Sean Crabtree and my business partner,
Cameron Bailey.
We come to you live every single week talking about the best strategies about how to grow your business. You are in the service industry, and this show is dedicated to you in your service industry, best strategies and things that you need to be implementing on a daily basis. Today, we're going to be talking...
Why? Well, here's why.
Because it's about having happier clients,
better results, and it's about
making more money.
Yeah.
And enjoying the ride.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people out there that are probably
enjoying
listening
the ride
to this.
is part of that too.
Well, there's a lot of, that's what I was going to say. There's probably a lot of people out there listening to this that, you know what, even if they're making money, are they having fun? Are they enjoying the ride? Right? Because there's a way that you can do all things, right?
And that is
happier
right.
clients, making more money, better results, and having more fun, enjoying the ride.
But you got to say it in order, or it's not a tagline.
How would you say it?
Happier clients, better results, making more money, and enjoying the ride. Right? It's got to be in that.
It's got to be all four. We're shooting for all four.
We're shooting for all four. And so today, the title of this is Doubling Your Bottom Line by Creating Business Partners. And I have to tell you, what you're just talking about here in terms of not enjoying the ride. I mean, you and I run into so many service industry people who are not enjoying the ride.
Shit, no, they hate it.
They're in a situation where they feel like that they're the puppet master, they're operating all the levers, and if they're not there to operate all the levers, then the thing is going to go away.
I was talking to a business owner last night.
Talk to me.
I said, man, it's just too damn hard. It's too damn hard to make any money.
Can't make it.
It's too hard to, it's not fun. It's work.
Feel like he's a slave.
I'm a slave to my business.
Slave to my employees.
I'm a slave to my employees. My employees are holding it above my head. They got me. They got me by the, as Ron Bailey would say,
yes.
You know what?
So
they got me under control because I am a slave not only to my employees, but I'm a slave to my clients. I'm a slave to the bank. I'm a slave to my profitability. I'm a slave to my manufacturers. I'm getting it from all angles. And what does that turn into? That turns into stress and resentment for your business.
And then before you know it, things are out of control and all manner of hell's breaking loose. And you drinking too much. You're not sleeping at all, right?
Oh,
it's raining cats and dogs living together and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
we're trying to talk about doubling the bottom line.
If you're going to double your bottom line, here's the subtitle of this. You got to create business partners. And by that I mean, and Cameron and I run into this all the time, you can't look at, I mean, you just mentioned a buddy of yours, right, who is feeling like he's slave to his employees,
there's tons
his
of
vendors,
people. There's tons of people out there
manufacturers,
that feel like
right? Anybody in a service business, I mean, at the end of the day, you probably got into that business for a different reason than all this stress that's sitting on top of your chest all the time, right?
Because you saw the upside.
So here's the trick. This is the big takeaway. Here's the big takeaway. And then we got to talk about how to do it, right? The big takeaway is this. You got to create business partners, not employees. I'll let that one wash over you just a second. You got to create business partners, not employees. Now, what I mean by that is this, and we run into this all the time. If the people on your team are viewing themselves as employees, if the people on your team are people that you, as the owner of the business, are viewing as employees, then you are putting yourself at the very dead center of this world, this universe called your business, and every single thing revolves around you. Because the people on your team are like, I'm an employee, tell me what to do, right? And you're the owner of the business, and you're going, well, I own the business, let me tell you what to do, right? This has all got to change. The best example I can think of this is and I'm not going to say it on camera, but it's somebody that's very close to me, and you know very well too, who has a business not very far from our office here, and has about 6 employees. And every time we walk into that business, this gentleman has a phone in each ear. He's waiting on somebody. He's scrambling to be able to make it work. And everybody else in the place is sitting around talking about the weather, drinking coffee,
doing their
nails, right? Visiting with the clientele and all that. And he's back there just sweating bullets trying to keep up.
Whose fault is that, though, Sean?
And that's a great point. That's a great point. If
Whose
you're
fault
the
is
captain of the ship, not that it's about blame,
No.
but if you're the captain of the ship, you got to understand that if you have employees rather than business partners, then you're never going to have as successful business as you potentially could have. And the stress factor that you were just talking about, right? So, the first thing I got to do as a leader of the ship is realize that it's up to me. I mean, if this thing is going to be a doubling of your bottom line scenario, then it's up to you as the captain of the ship to be able to change that. You've got to view and be viewed as a team, as business partners. You're all in this thing together. And so there's 3 big things that we would tell you that you need to do to be able to make this happen. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, man, this is hard. This is not easy, right?
Well, but being an entrepreneur is not easy.
Exactly. You guys that are listening to this that are entrepreneurs or that are salespeople, if you're a true sales professional, either in outside or even inside sales, you, in theory, are an entrepreneur, a business owner. You're running your own business.
Inside of the business.
Inside of the business, yes. So this is not easy. Like, being able to take the fear, number one. Take the fear and the comfort zone out of the scenario and just act on, I'm committed to making business partners, whatever that takes, however that looks. That is hard. Would you agree?
I would agree, but there's 3 big chunks that we can tell you on how to do it. I've learned, here's what I've learned. Over the last 30 years, here's what I've learned. Stuff that people think of as hard generally is not difficult. It just requires changing what's going on here. Doing stuff differently is really easy, right? Mm-hmm. Changing what's going on in your mind can be viewed as difficult, but if you think about it, it's as simple as changing your mind. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, that's what it is. And that really goes into the 3 big chunks that we want to talk about today, right? If you're going to double your bottom line, you got to create business partners from what is now employees. Step 1, the number 1 thing that you got to do. We talked about a mindset. Here's what you got to do. You got to redefine what leadership looks like in your mind. And we run into this all the time. I don't know where the magic book is, but somewhere I'm convinced there's a book that says, see, I get excited. I start stuttering a little bit.
Let's go. Let's go.
I get pumped up. I don't know where there's got to be this secret book that tells everybody that, hey, if you are the leader, the captain of the ship, that means you have to make all the decisions and you have to be the one turning all the levers. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. Step 1, redefine what a great leader looks like. And here's what a great leader looks like. A great leader is not the person who makes all the decisions and does all the stuff. Okay, a great leader is somebody who leads a group of leaders to take responsibility, make decisions, and bring those decisions to the table within a defined criteria. In other words, stop looking at your people as employees so you have to tell them what to do. Start looking in your own mind at your employees as business partners. Then you can focus on, here's the way we make decisions, here's where it is that we're trying to go. Now it's a whole different mindset. But it's got to start right here. You've got to redefine in your own mind what being a leader is. And it's not people bringing you decisions and you giving them answers. Because at the end of the day, the people that are bringing you those questions are closer to the situation than you are, right?
And the challenge is when they're bringing you questions and you give them the answer, you're setting the stage for that to continue to happen.
And then you're just piling the stress further and further and further on you, so this thing is constantly revolving around you. So step number one, you got to redefine in your own mind what is a great leader. And a great leader is not the only one who makes decisions at the top. You got to get that clear. If you've done that, then you can go to step two.
What if you feel like you've got people on your team that don't have the skill sets to be a leader?
Ooh. What's the answer?
Well, I mean, how do you get a leader? Does somebody have the skills, or are they built to be a leader?
There's somebody who's listening to this right now.
I can think of two people in my mind that are entrepreneurs that I know
Yeah.
that are in this situation.
And they view it as, hey, I can't turn over things to these people because they don't take responsibility.
Or because they don't have the skill set to understand what it's going to take to make a decision of leadership.
I would say that plays into number two.
What's number two?
Well, number one is I got to redefine what a leader is. Number two is I've got to change. If I've covered number one in my mind, now I've got to get rid of legacy habits. I've got to change the way we used to do things. And so
I may have to change the vision I have in my business of what I'm going for.
But let me get to your question.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got to change the way that I'm doing things. If I'm viewing the people on my team as partners in my business, if I've redefined in my own mind that leadership means, I'm not the one making all the decisions. Now that's going to require me to be in a position where, like right now you're saying you can think of 2 or 3 people who are going, hey, people on my team don't have the skill sets. I would say the reason they don't have the skill sets is because you've never slowed down enough to take the time to educate them on things like this. What are we trying to accomplish overall as a team, as a business? And what are we trying to accomplish in terms of this particular thing, right? This one little microscopic thing. What you've done instead is you've not changed those habits, which is what we're talking about with number two. People bring you questions, you give them answers, send them back out there, right?
Yeah.
And so you're perpetuating this culture and this idea that they're just employees. They're not here to make decisions. You're the owner of the business. You're the one that they need to bring decisions to.
Tell me what to do.
Right. Tell me what to do. So they're never going to be in a position to be required to gain the skills necessary to make decisions. So number two is you got to change legacy habits. You got to change your habits. Stop telling people what to do. Instead, challenge them on where tell them where we're trying to go and challenge them by asking questions. How do you think that needs to look? And then coach them on it. Because you're not trying to tell them what to do. You're coaching them on how to make decisions.
You know what a great question would be? The next time that you guys that are listening to this, the next time that one of your team members brings you a question and you feel the urge to answer it, because as an entrepreneur, you got all kinds of stuff going through your mind. You're thinking about what's going on over here. You're thinking about this. You're thinking about that. And everything is moving at a fast pace. So the easy thing to do is say, do it this way. Challenge yourself. Challenge what's going on between your ears. Stop and ask them, how do you think we need to handle this situation? And what do you think so that in the future you can handle it on your own and not have to bring it to me? And you're challenging them to think differently.
Most of the time, what you said is really true, by the way. As an entrepreneur, we all have a lot of things on our mind. We got a bunch of ideas and things rolling around. But at the end of the day, the biggest challenge we run into with number one, which is redefine what a great leader looks like. And number two, get rid of the old habits of telling people what to do. Here's the thing. If you're viewing your people as not having the skill sets to be able to implement things and, whatever, here's the deal. You're running around with all these things in your head, but guess what? You're not communicating that out. You're the only one who knows where the hell you're trying to go. You got to stop that. You gotta get these guys on board with the overall direction, and you gotta get them on board with how each of the areas of your business support that overall direction, and what you're trying to accomplish in each area to support that overall direction. Now you can start to tap into the creativity of the people that you have on your team. I promise you, they are willing to take on responsibility. Nobody wants to be a freaking
robot.
Exactly.
Tell me what to do and I'll do it.
As a matter of fact,
you may think that as an entrepreneur, you think, oh man, my guys, they just want to come to work, get a paycheck, and go home. You may think that's what they want, but people are motivated by other things other than money, right?
What
people
we find is just
a sense of belonging, a sense of direction.
How many times have you and I walked into a team that has hired us for help, and what we find out is the people on the team are like, basically they're telling us like, you know, he's telling me what to do, but he doesn't know what I do.
Right.
He's telling me what to do, but he doesn't understand what's going on in this area, right?
Yeah.
He's telling me I should do this, but he doesn't understand this is what's going on.
So I just do it the way he tells me to do it because he's the boss.
Exactly.
He's the boss. I'll do it the way he tells me to do it rather than think about where we're trying to go.
We got somebody with us here. Yeah. So if you're ready to double your bottom line, it's about creating business partners. And the way you do that is, number one, redefine in your own mind what a great leader looks like. And a great leader is not the one who all decisions come to. A great leader is somebody who is creating leaders around them. You got to get that clear in your mind. And then number two, change the habits that will support that. If you've got it in your mind about what a great leader is, now you got to stop. You got to make sure that the habits that you're doing are supporting that. Stop telling people what to do. Instead, tell them where we're trying to go. Communicate to them what they're trying to accomplish, and then ask them to tell you what needs to happen, right? And then here's the big number 3 thing, and that is this. You got to build time in your daily, weekly schedule. You have to build time to work on the business. And the stuff we're talking about right now is working on the business.
Yeah.
And if you do not set aside time on a weekly basis to have communication like this with your team, then it doesn't matter what your intentions are. At the end of the day, if all you're doing is busy working in the business, you're going to find yourself coming back to these same habits where somebody comes to you and says, what do I do? And you're not thinking. And so you tell them, here's what you do. And now you're creating employees again. And pretty soon your mindset's going to be, it all just comes back to me.
Well, and the other thing about, listen, if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, you have got to have time to work on your business. And you've got to build that meeting time in every week. But you're not just coming in there and talking about tactical things. Like, there's probably a lot of people that are listening saying, hey, Sean, we have a meeting every morning. We get together every morning. And, I can think of another business in my mind of a entrepreneur that I know. He meets with his team, his guys, every morning. But what are they doing? They're just talking about, okay, what do we have to do?
They're talking about working in the business.
What do we have to do today? All right, guys, here's what we have to do today. All right, everybody, let's go. Mm-hmm. But we're not talking about working on the business.
Things like, where are we trying to go overall?
What's working and what's not? What needs to change? What are our opportunities? How are we reaching our goals? Do we even have a goal?
How do we make decisions?
Exactly.
How do we make decisions? Who makes those decisions? How do those decisions look? And what is each department trying to accomplish to be able to accomplish the overall goal that we as a group are trying to accomplish, right? You got to set aside time, and we would have at least 1 hour a week, at least. How many times do we meet, Mr. Producer?
Twice a week.
Twice
a week
at
at
least?
Long? For an hour each?
An hour and a half.
All right, and what do we talk about?
Everything that's going on.
Guys, if the entrepreneur in the business is the only one that knows the goal that they're trying to achieve,
then they're putting themselves in the middle of this big, giant stress ball.
If I'm an entrepreneur and I'm the only one that knows that, hey, I want to have a gross revenue of $3 million this year, and I don't share that with anybody on my team that can affect that $3 million gross revenue.
And if we don't talk about how this department needs to accomplish these kinds of things to be able to support that. And this department needs to do this and accomplish this to be able to support that department to be able to accomplish these things, etc. That's working on your business. So if you want to double your bottom line, stop having employees and start creating business partners. Number one, redefine in your own mind what a leader looks like. Number two, change the habits that will support that. Stop telling people what to do. Start telling them where you're trying to go.
And ask
them questions about how they let them come to the table with things. You know, I haven't thought about this, but you and I talked about this recently. This is how Rudolph Giuliani completely changed New York back when he was mayor. I mean, he essentially did the very same things that we're talking about on a much grander scale. Everybody was looking to the mayor with all these problems, and crime was rampant all over Manhattan, the number one crime city in the world, and all this. When Giuliani became mayor, he implemented exactly what we're talking about here, pushed everything down, and instead of saying, here's what we're going to do, he went to each individual police precinct on a monthly basis and challenged them. Here's what we're trying to do overall now. What are you going to do in your borough? And he made those public. Right. And so people were coming in their boroughs to public meetings where the mayor and the administration were there, and the local precincts were coming to the table with, here's what we're going to do. And it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, it absolutely worked. So it's going to work in your service business because the scale is not nearly as big.
And you have to figure out a way of what are the metrics in your business that you're shooting for. If I know the metrics that I'm going for, in other words, my goals that I'm trying to achieve, whether it's revenue, whether it's gross sales, whether it's overhead percentage of X, whatever it is, if I know what that is, then in turn, as the entrepreneur, I know what it means to me. Mm-hmm. What you have to do is you have to share that knowledge with your team so that they understand what it means to them.
You know what? I think it's even simpler than that. I think if you're the owner of the business, I think number one, you got to figure out what is the big overall goal that you're trying to achieve. And then you take your employees and look at them as business partners and go, okay, you're now a partner in my business and you're over this department. Here's where we're trying to go overall. Now, what do you think needs to happen in your area to be able to get us there? And let them help come up with those metrics. And further, how are we going to measure it? How are we going to talk about it on a regular basis, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what's ultimately going to have you be successful. Creating business partners can double your bottom line. Number one, redefining your own mind what being a leader looks like, right? Number two, change those habits. Stop telling people what to do. Instead, tell them where you're trying to go, and then ask them what needs to be done.
And number three, needs to be done. Yeah.
You got to set aside time away from working in the business so you can have conversations like this on a weekly basis, and that's working on your business. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to allow you to double your bottom line. And by the way, if you're doubling your bottom line, it doesn't matter what service business you're in. If you're doubling your bottom line, you are having happier clients. You're having better results, you're making more money, and guess what? If all those things are happening, then you're enjoying the ride. And that's why we come to you every single week with this podcast at high noon Central Time, just outside Nashville, Tennessee, is helping you with strategies to have happier clients, better results, making more money, and enjoying the ride. Please join us next week, same time, same channel, right here. And if you like this, please share it and invite people into this group. We'd love to have anybody who is like-minded who can share in the strategies that we're talking about to help all of us be the best we can be. Find us at thecrabtreegroup.com. If you have a question, concern, or challenge, we'll be glad to support you with it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.